We're rocking. Okay, everybody. Well, good morning. It's Saturday morning, which means, hey, it's training time in Rotary. So appreciate everybody joining us this morning. We've got a pretty quick pace, 90 minutes talking about all roles, responsibilities, duties, and how much fun you're going to have being a board member next year. So since we don't have our DG Randy to start us off, we're going to go to incoming DG, Mr. Mark Merriam, sort of get us going. Mark, go for it.
Thanks. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad you could join us for this training this morning. As you know, board leadership is an important role in each of your Rotary clubs. And the more information we can gather as we increase our Rotary IQ, the more efficient and effective we can be in serving in our volunteer roles in each of your clubs during the coming year. So thank you for your time and your efforts, and have a great year. There's these trainings offered throughout the course of the year in different positions and different areas of interest for Rotary, and we want to thank our leadership chair, Benson Medina, for that, and Naomi Masuno for making it all happen. Please take full advantage of these training opportunities. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Mark. So today we're going to be talking about some of the skills and things you need to do as a board member. And you need to know that you are very important to the success of the club. The board is really important, a key to holding things going, the activities of the club and the members. So it's really important, and it's we're really thankful that you're here because you are all very important. So today we're going to be covering the purpose of the board, shared visions, decisions, strategic plans. We'll go over some of the board structure, responsibilities, governing documents, management. So some ideas on how to have a good meeting with agendas and time management. And then we'll have a little bit of Robert's Rules of Order, what the cadence is for keeping things in order when you have motions and decisions. And then we'll break up into groups of small, medium, large. And you can talk about some of the issues that you have with boards and some of the challenges that you might have. And then we'll regroup, share, and then Benson will wrap us up with succession planning. Okay, so that's the agenda for today. So, okay, let's start with the purpose of the board. Benson, what is the purpose of the board?
Purpose of the board. Okay, cool. Yeah, we don't have that huge of a group, so we'll work on when we break down into groups so that you guys can get to know each other a little bit more, because you know, part of working in Rotary, and it's been kind of a cool thing for us since, you know, technology has allowed us to really get together and meet together just about, you know, weekly or more than that. It's been great because we've had a chance to at least see faces and get to know people from other islands. So I hope that we'll get some opportunity. We will, I think, have a little time at the end where we can kind of have a more in-depth discussion, sort of get to know all of you guys a little bit better. Some of these faces, we see them pretty regularly on the screen every week, and that's a good sign, because as Mark talked about, Rotary IQ is really important, and basically what that is just your basic knowledge about Rotary. And the reason that that's important is because we find that typically people that know a lot about Rotary, they tend to be more involved in Rotary. So I'm just looking at the 23 people that are on the screen today. Collectively, this is a pretty informed group, and that's basically why you're here, and that's basically why you're engaged. Okay, so let's launch out over here. You know, my wife is a president-elect, and she's just sitting right here off screen here and trying to absorb all of this too. So that's great. Oh, Miley's here too. Okay. All right, let's get going here. Let's talk about Club Board. So let me bring this up here and we'll get her going. Okay, I'm assuming everybody can see that. So I can only see Naomi, so Naomi, you can kind of nod your head. All right. Let's rock and roll here. Let's see. All right, did that change? Can you guys see that screen? All right, good. I have to ask because sometimes, you know, it doesn't. And people, I go through the whole thing and then they say, hey, you know, your slides didn't change at all. And I just went through 27 slides and nobody said, hey, your slide didn't change. So, okay. So
We're seeing the presenter view though, not the full slide.
Okay.
Yeah, put it in slide view.
Well, I thought I had it in slide view. Okay. So. Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, that worked, huh? Amazing, man. Freaking technology. Okay, so let's talk about the roles of board of directors. So as we were saying earlier, so board of directors is like, it's like the engine of the club, right? So if you're the president of the club, then you're the person that's sort of sitting in the driver's seat and you're sort of steering the car, but the engine that's making the club move is really the board, right? And so this core group of people is totally essential in every club. And so if there's issues, the club wants to, you know, move forward, resolve issues, it's this group that really does that. And so there's really just sort of three major things that the board does, right? The first is governance. And so every board has a set of bylaws. Now, what Rotary International does is it puts out kind of this a boilerplate of bylaws. And, you know, you can operate just on that boilerplate of bylaws if you want. But typically every board will adjust or adapt those bylaws to however their club wants to operate. And I could just talk about governance part, basically how you're going to handle business within your club. You can, in your bylaws, you can do, you know, terms, number of people that are on the board, all of that. And so some clubs, you know, have the same bylaws that they've had probably for 50 years, where depending upon the leadership, sometimes bylaws need to be updated or upgraded every few years, maybe every 4 to 6 years, you might want to look at that. In fact, I think if you're an incoming board member, one of the first things you want to do is take a look at your club bylaws, also take a look at the RI constitution, and at least familiarize yourself with that document. As far as the bylaws go, every club has a different set of bylaws, and then you can actually adapt or change those bylaws as needed. Strategic planning. Now we do a lot of work, and typically it's after pets on helping every club do a strategic plan. And a strategic plan it's really, you know, in a nutshell, kind of simply, you know, what are we going to do? Who's going to do it? When are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? Right. Now, some people have like more in-depth planning than that, but at the end result of it, what you want to do is you want to be going into the next Rotary year 23-24 with a plan on, you know, basically how are we going to move forward, what kinds of events we're going to do, we're going to raise money, how we're going to do that, you know, who's going to manage these events, all those kinds of things. Because what we see is that clubs that have a strategic plan, they tend to be, of course, a lot more productive, a lot more organized. They tend to attract people into their club because people know what they're doing. And a lot of the things that we develop in a strategic plan, they become part of the culture of what your club is like. And the culture of the club is basically how the club behaves, what kinds of things the club does, what kinds of people it attracts. So putting that strategic plan together. And then the last and really important piece is being accountable for that plan. So, lots of clubs spend time putting a strategic plan together, but then it goes into somebody's drawer and it sits there for who knows how long, right? And then, the board is meeting typically every month, and they're talking about things the club is doing, but they're not really taking the strategic plan out and looking at that. So like those of you guys that are in a business, that own a business, right? So you own a business and you typically will write a business plan, at the onset of starting your business. And that business plan is a dynamic document. It's not something that you just put in a drawer. If you've got financial goals, you've got customer acquisition goals, you've got employee goals, and you're looking at that business plan every month, every week, sometimes every day. And the same thing goes for the strategic plan of a club. Somebody's got to be looking at that to make sure that the ship is going in the right direction, or whoever has the steering wheel is guiding the club in the best place that it can go. Okay, next slide. All right, so let's talk about responsibilities, right? So the responsibilities of board of directors, first, organize and monitor that strategic plan. That's probably one of the most important things. The second thing, protect the assets and provide financial oversight. Now, sometimes, clubs they're used to doing things a certain way. And they've done it for years. Like my club, for example, when I joined our club, they had a huge fundraiser, and then in that fundraiser, they just basically allocated out money to whoever basically asked for it, or whoever they wanted to dish the money out to, right? So they really didn't have a process to do that. It was kind of arbitrary. So that when I showed up, I said, well, hey, you can't just arbitrarily put money out there. We should have like an RFP process and all of that. And of course, some people really embraced that because we wanted to get more structure. And of course, some people didn't embrace that because they just wanted it like, hey, it's our money, we do whatever we want. So, but anytime we raise money or we have assets, the club owns things, the board has the responsibility, the fiduciary responsibility to protect those assets and provide financial oversight. Part of the responsibilities of board of directors, typically the board of directors of a club are the heads of committees on the club. So Terry, we were talking to her earlier, and Terry's head of community service, which automatically puts her on the board. The next thing is support the vision of the club president. So, Rotary, our leadership in our club changes over every year. And so the incoming president has a vision, and it's typically sort of runs along the theme of whatever Rotary's theme is for the year. This year we did Imagine Rotary. So a lot of presidents were really kind of engaged on imagining what we could do better, how we could increase our outreach out there, all of those things. So support the vision of the president, and the president really should be really well engaged with the board to make sure that along the responsibilities of the board, that their vision is kind of going forward. And the last thing, and really important thing, and I'll talk about this more later, is to help develop future leadership in the club. And so typically the leadership of the club comes from the board of directors. So typically like I started out as the chair of the foundation committee in my club, got assigned to do that. And then of course, in a couple of years, I found myself as club president, and basically all of the sequence of our club presidents has all come out of, we went backwards. have all come out of our board of directors. All right, let me go forward here. Okay, and here's kind of the last slide. Okay, so expectations of your board members, right, is to participate in all the board meetings. And I know you think, that's kind of a given, right? That you would come to board meetings, but sometimes people don't always attend board meetings. And so our club has them monthly, and it's important that you, make an attempt to get to those board meetings, to get the minutes of them, because sometimes, when we vote on things, that those votes are really important. And obviously, Naomi's going to talk, or Dean's going to talk about Robert's Rules of Order. If you can't get at least a quorum of board members into the meetings, then you really can't transact any business, right? Going back to the beginning, know the club bylaws, so that you know what your governance responsibilities are. Engage with other club members so that you kind of get a feel for what they're doing or what they're thinking. Because a lot of times, club members, and especially if you have a larger club, you can't always hear the voices and feedback from all of your members. But if you've got, 6, 7, 8 board members that are out there, they have friends within the club, and that communication line will help filter feedback into the board, so that the board can act on that. And then, of course, the last thing, as I said before, was the being accountable for the strategic plan. And I see myself, obviously as that's the most important thing. Okay, so that's basically a quick primer on roles, responsibilities of the club. I know a lot of those seem to be obvious, but we have to put them out there. So what we find in Rotary, and you guys have been in Rotary a while, it's really sort of connecting in with some standard things and helping to make that move. So, okay, so I'm gonna turn it over to Naomi now, and she's gonna talk a little bit more about bylaws, responsibilities, constitution, all of that. Hey, Naomi.
You're still muted, Naomi.
Is that's the word for this year. You're muted. Okay, so some of these slides will be duplicates, but it is important to emphasize some of the roles and responsibilities of the board members. So, Rotary's vision is together we see a world where people unite and take action. And so when you look at the board's responsibility, it's taking this vision statement and making it your own and growing your club and having a vision for your club through the board. So the purpose of a vision is so you see where you're going. So, Benson was talking about the boat. I talk about a canoe where everybody's paddling. And, when you think about how you can paddle together, how you can be together, it's having that destination. Where is your club going? So a vision would be, where do you want to see your club? Is it okay now? Do we need to improve it? Is it vibrant? Is it growing? Is there room for more fellowship, good projects? We are people of action and problem solvers. So when you think about how the board will work together, it's this planning that's really important. And now is a good time to start planning. So the strategic plan, the Vibrant Club plan is important to talk about, so you can set your destination on where your club is going for making it a good experience for everybody. So the purpose of the board, again, is to guide the club and work together to connect all of the things that you need to do and what you need to be responsible for. Benson talked about fiduciary responsibility. And that was financial control, separation of duties. So making sure that you are filing your taxes on time, you are filing your general excise tax report if you're subject to GE tax, paying your bills on time, paying your dues on time. So these are things that each member of the board would be responsible for. And it is good to have a board so that you can spread out the work. It's not all on one person. Youth protection, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, harassment policies, stewardship of grant funds, documents. These are all some fiduciary responsibilities that the board is responsible for. And having more hands, more brains on the board is a good thing. So what is the purpose of these governing documents? This is your rules. And so when you have a question of what you need to do, it's a good thing to refer to your constitution and bylaws, because that is the law of the club. And we should be following Rotary International's lead on because they've thought it out. They know what's important and what we need to do for the clubs to move forward. So the purpose of the club, what you do, the structure of the club are in your governing documents, and that would be your constitution and bylaws. So if you haven't reviewed them recently, it would be a good thing to look at the recommended bylaws that and constitution that Rotary has for us, because they've made some changes. And Rotary knows that we need to be flexible, that we need to adapt to situations. So some of the things in the Constitution is it says that the governing body of the club is the board, and the authority is on the board. And so when you look at what hard decisions, it would be the board making the decisions together, and the board action is final unless it's appealed and rediscussed. So the Constitution highlights, it talks about meetings, having regular meetings, at least Rotary clubs need to meet at least twice monthly. But the meeting doesn't need to be that format where you have a speaker or pledge of allegiance. It can be flexible. A meeting could be a project or committee meetings, but you need to meet at least twice a month, and the board should be meeting once a month as well. So, meetings are twice monthly and board meetings once a month. And you can adjust that, but the board needs to meet regularly to talk about what's going on in the club. Then in December, you have an annual meeting. And at the annual meeting, you go over the finances, but you also have the election of officers. And this is the slate that will take effect the upcoming July. So you're voting in a president-elect that will be the president-elect from July, and they are the president for the year after that. So it really is a good thing to have a president-elect, because then that person can prepare to get ready, and come July 1st, they'll be up and running. So the PE now was elected last December, right? Okay. Board meetings should have minutes, and the minutes should be available to the club members within 60 days. Okay, so Rotary is saying we should be diverse in our club membership. So look at your membership. What is the makeup of your members in classifications or skills? Are they from businesses? So look at your community. Do you reflect the community that you are in? Okay, so the election of officers can be different ways. It could be where people are nominating and you just vote for everybody and the one with the highest number. Or you could have a nominating committee that starts in maybe in October, and then the slate comes up in December to vote on. Okay, so the election of officers is in your bylaws, and the way that you bring in members is in your bylaws. So one of the changes in the bylaws is how you bring in members and the challenge period. So Remember before we used to, the new member, the proposed member goes to the membership committee, then the board for approval, and then it goes out to the club for a challenge, a 7-day challenge. Well, Rotary is saying the board can make that decision within 30 days. Once the board decides, you can bring that member into the club. So it is up to the club and how you want to bring in your members and what kind of challenge period if you have. Okay, so when you look at the club and what's an effective club, these are 4 elements that kind of think about in your strategic plan: growing membership, sustaining, so retaining members, having successful service project, because service project is a lot of times the reason why people join, the support of a Rotary Foundation, and developing leaders, so you have that continuity. So this is some of the pillars that you can think about when you do your strategic plan. So how do you improve your board? So this is Huinalo, and so you can see that they're determined. These women are determined when they're paddling their canoe, but they're all doing it at the same time. So they're going in the same direction. So kind of as an analogy, when you look at your board, think about it as people who are doing their part, and they're all paddling at the same time to go to that shared vision, that destination. So think about your board composition. Do you have the right people on your board? Do you need an attorney or a CPA or someone who has connections with the business community? Think about who would be good to be on your board, so that you have a cross section and you have good ideas coming from people who have experience. Your strategic plan and your calendars, where are you going? Is it all planned out? And this will determine your roadmap. And your roadmap is where everybody can agree, okay, this is the way we want to go. This is what we want to do. This is what we want our club to be known for. And then think about how effective it is. Is everybody doing their job? Do they need a committee? Do they need help? How can we work together to share that vision? Okay, so that shared vision is kind of important. So what is the structure of the club and the board? So the governing document says you need to have a president or president-elect. The immediate past president is automatically on your board as well. You have a secretary, treasurer, and your directors. Now, how you divide the directors and committees on your board is up to the club. So Rotary has a suggestion on the structure, and some clubs are small, so you don't have enough people to be in all of the avenues of service as a chair. So you could have one person be in charge of all of the service projects, regardless of what avenue it is, so that person can oversee the projects. But normally you want to have people on your board that are in these categories. Club administration, that's the operation, taking care of operations of your club, membership, public image, service projects, and the Rotary Foundation. And then under that, you could have different committees. And it's a really good thing to have committees because you want continuity, but you have more hands to do things. So especially for service projects, it takes a lot of work to plan. So you might have one person doing one project, another doing another project, but it's really good to have multiple people on your committees and have backup. So in case something happens, someone can't do it on that day, you always have someone else who knows what's going on and can take care of it. Okay, so board meetings or club meetings for that matter. Some suggestions, some tips to have a good board meeting: have an agenda, because you don't want to waste time, because you've got so many people there and you want to make it effective and meaningful. So it's a good thing to have an agenda. Everybody knows what's going to be discussed. You might want to put times on the agenda so that a person giving a report knows that they only have 2 minutes or 5 minutes. And so they can plan on what they're going to say. So having that setting time limits would be a good thing. And then people can be prepared. And one thing you can do if I have a lot of reports is have them write it out and give it to the secretary, so the secretary doesn't have to write it all out for the minutes. But then they organize their thoughts. The start and end of the meeting should be on time. So say you have a start time of 10 o'clock and you don't have everybody there, you need to start anyway, because you got to keep to the time. If you need to make any changes, it would be good to ask everybody, is it okay to start earlier or start later or extend it another half an hour? Keep the discussion on track. So sometimes we go on tangents because we have this good idea, and that's good because you want to have good discussions. But if you've got an agenda with time limits, you got to stick to those times. And what you could do is table the other discussion, or just put it at the end if you have time, or put it back into a committee to discuss. So encourage all to participate. You find someone who's just sitting there, and you could kind of tell if they want to say something, right? So Benson says, oh, somebody has taken off their mute, so they're getting ready to say something. So watch the body language and see how you can get everybody to participate, because everybody's idea is important to that. So you want to accomplish the purpose of the meeting, and by to do that, you need to have a plan to have that meeting and be prepared. So remember that majority rules. And so if somebody has a discussion, it's good to have that that person say what they feel, because they have a right to be heard. So the chairman is not the dictator, it's what the group is wants. So the chairman is the facilitator on the discussion. So that minority person, when they talk, they might be able to convince the others to see their point of view. And even if they do, it's still the majority. And so it's no right or wrong, but it's what the majority feels. Okay, so how do you prepare for the upcoming year? You've got the budget, the calendars, when you're going to have your board meetings, when you're going to have your projects, events, and you're going to transition. So you want to make sure that you are changing the bank account signers, all of the records have been transferred. You want to make sure that the proper people have access to accounts and websites and passwords. So don't have just one person have access to the website, and then when that person isn't around or is busy, then you have nobody that can get into the website. That's not a good thing, because we need to keep on moving. So one of the things that you could consider is having assemblies. Club assemblies are where you have open discussion, where everybody can bring up issues or things that they want to talk about. So 3 years a year, 3 assemblies a year is a good thing. Okay, and then that's where you plan activities, find out what they want to do. And then the one that is at the end of the year is for the incoming board, the PE, to talk about what does the club want to do next year. Okay, and don't forget, we have the Learning Center on Rotary International's website. They've got awesome courses. So self-paced, please encourage all of your committee members and board members to go to the Learning Center and look up their specific topic that would help them be successful in their year. Okay, and so some of the things are leadership basics. Toastmasters has sessions on public speaking and leadership, and then there's club administration and secretary treasurer. There's something for everything in the Learning Center. So okay, let's go to questions. I'll stop sharing. Any questions? All good? Yeah. Okay. So
You covered it all.
I'm cutting off.
Covered it all.
Okay, good. But there's always questions that come up, and we're open book, so please feel free to reach out to any of us. We'd be more than happy to help you. So it's now time for Robert's Rules of Order. And so we have this guy named Dean. Is Dean is Dean there? Okay, Dean is there. But Dean, we cannot hear you. You're muted. Dean's going to cover Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay,
Let's spotlight. Should we spotlight Dean? Sure, let's spotlight Dean.
Yeah, make his head really big.
Yeah.
no,
Here's
no, no,
Dean.
no, no, no.
Yeah, here we go.
Because Naomi always says my head is too big already, so anyway. Okay, so Robert's Rules of Order, I know most of you, if not all of you, already know some or a lot about Robert's Rules of Order. So I'm just going to kind of cover the basics. Okay, so there are 3 tools that each person who's presiding at a meeting, be it a board or a club meeting, that they need to be successful. One is a meeting agenda, and that's covered already. Second is the minutes of previous meetings. You have no idea how useful those minutes come into play. Third is some working knowledge of Robert's Rules of Order. So what is Robert's Rules of Order? Well, simply stated, it's a set of rules used to conduct an orderly meeting. And the mainstay of Robert's Rules of Order are motions. Okay, so what is a motion? To take any action in a meeting, you need to make a motion. And Roberts lays out the process on how a motion is dealt with. So the first thing is to make a motion. I move that we cover Diamond Head with strawberry ice cream. Someone has to second that motion. I second that motion. Then the chair says, it has been moved and second that we cover Diamond Head with strawberry ice cream. Is there any discussion? Now, normally, out of courtesy, you yield to the mover of the motion, the proponent, to offer an explanation as to what is that motion about and why are you doing it. Then you open it up for debate. So during that debate, someone may say, gee, you know, I want to amend the motion by adding that on top of the ice cream, we would have whipped cream and a cherry. Again, someone has to second that amendment. And then the discussion only focuses on that amendment. Okay, so you only talk about the whipped cream and the cherry. What kind of whipped cream? Is it a big cherry, a small cherry, whatever? But you discuss that amendment. Then you vote on that amendment. Okay, so the chair calls for the vote on the amendment. The ayes have it, 5-2. So the amendment passes. So now you go back to the main motion. So now the main motion reads, and the chair should read it again, that we covered Diamond Head with strawberry ice cream with whipped cream and a cherry on top. Now that is the motion up for discussion. You can further amend that motion. You have your debate. Then the chair calls for the vote. So people vote. Then the chair announces the vote, the results of the vote. 5 ayes, 2 nays. The motion carries. Okay, so you make a motion, you second the motion, the chair restates the motion, so it's very clear, and it actually for the secretary to make sure that he or she writes down the proper motion. Then there's debate, then you vote, and the chair announces the vote. That makes it official. Okay, so there are 4 types of general motions. The main motion, okay, which is what we were talking about, it calls for an action to be taken. It must be stated in the positive. So if you don't want Diamond Head to be ever to be covered in strawberry ice cream, then you cannot make a motion. Let's make sure that Diamond Head is not covered with. You have to say, let's cover Diamond Head with strawberry ice cream, and you vote the motion down. Okay, that's how you do a negative. And a motion only contains one idea. The idea was to cover it with strawberry ice cream. The addition of the whipped cream and cherry is consistent with the use of ice cream. Now, if you amended the motion to say, and an airplane has to fly around it every hour, that's a separate idea that idea has to be a separate motion. Then after the main motion, you have a subsidiary motion. So this calls for action to be taken on the main motion. So amendments fall into this category. And other motions that change how the motion is handled, for instance, tabling the motion, closing debate on the motion. These are subsidiary motions. So you have the main motion, then someone moves a subsidiary motion, you take care of the subsidiary motion. So if the subsidiary motion is to table the main motion and that passes, then the main motion is tabled, end of discussion. Then you have incidental motions. Yeah, those are housekeeping things, parliamentary inquiry, point of order, so on and so forth. You, unless you got a parliamentary wonk in your group, you'll never see those. And the last one is renewal motion. So this is taken after the action has been completed. You pass the motion. Then somebody says, gee, you know, strawberry ice cream, what happens when it melts? You know, that whole crater would be full of slush. So let's reconsider that motion, that what we passed. And so you move to reconsider. Okay, so those are renewal motions. Now, the basic principles, there are 5 basic principles of parliamentary procedure in general. Majority rules. That's number 1. Number 2, minority has rights. Number 3, members have rights. So if you have guests, yeah, only the members vote, not the guests. You deal with one question at a time. So if you're the chair of the meeting and somebody brings up something that's not part of the motion, you kindly say to that person, we can deal with that after we finish with this motion. And the last one is one person, one vote. Now, the basic rules of parliamentary procedure is you deal with one motion at a time. Motions must be stated in the positive. Only one person speaks at a time. So, you know, you tell everybody to respect not only people's ideas, but when they're talking, don't interrupt. And that includes the chair, unless you absolutely have to. All members have equal rights. Okay, so everyone who wants to speak should be allowed to do so. So if you have a very controversial issue coming up, you might want to schedule it for a meeting where you have no speaker, or the speaker is going to talk for only 10 minutes or something like that. But you ideally would like to complete all discussion on that issue. So if you don't complete it in the time allotted, you have your speaker, you're done with the speaker, then you can ask for an extension of time to complete that particular issue. Each motion is entitled to full and free debate. Cutting off debate is a tactic, and it pisses some people off, okay? Primarily the proponent. So have courtesy, yeah? Allow each motion to be debated fully. And finally, the rights of the minority must be protected, but the will of the majority must prevail. Okay, those are the concepts of parliamentary procedure. Roberts is the most popular book on public procedures. There's other books, Martha's, the Democratic Procedures, and there's a list of books that you can get on parliamentary procedures. Now, I've only covered the basics because you only gave me 15 minutes. If you gave me 15 days, I'll make you experts. But what's happening is that, you know, in this Rotary meeting environment, not everyone, in fact, most of them, they have a cursory knowledge of parliamentary procedures. Keep it light, keep the meeting moving forward. And again, remember the 3 tools the chair or the president must employ: a meeting agenda, minutes of the previous meetings, and some working knowledge of Robert's Rules of Order. If you Google Robert's Rules of Order, there's all kinds of cheat sheets and things that you can use to familiarize yourself with the rules, but don't abuse the rules. Okay, you want to keep it light, you want to keep the meeting moving. and you want to accomplish something. Okay, so that's the whole idea about Robert's Rules of Order. And before I leave, I gotta say, Terry Brown, your Big Ben in the background is impressive. Were you there? Did you watch the coronation? You don't have to answer me. Any question?
Yeah. So I have a quick question, Dean.
Shoot.
So can the chair refuse to acknowledge a motion? So if somebody says, Chair, I call the question, right? Which means
Okay.
that you want it to go to a vote. Can they say, can you say, well, no, we're not cutting off discussion or whatever, because the whole idea is to promote discussion. And all of that.
Okay, so someone calls for the question. So the chair can say, okay, the question has been called for. All those in favor of ending discussion and taking a vote, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. So, but if the body wants to end discussion, the will of the majority.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, in the old days, we used to always say the chair has to be neutral. The chair cannot speak for or against. The chair cannot make a motion or second. But in a reading of Robert's rules, that's not really true. The chair can talk. The chair can make a motion. The chair can second the motion, and the chair can vote. It used to be too, the chair only votes when there's a tie to break the tie. That's not true. Okay. So, but the chair has to always give the impression that they are neutral. And so it's best that the chair, unless the, you know, if they got a real bug that they gotta say something, you know, one thing that people do to keep that neutrality or that image of neutrality is have someone else chair that part of the meeting, and then you step down and you make your point. Okay, so they do that in certain bodies. The Honolulu City Council, if you watch the news every once in a while, when they show the chair of the council sitting with the rest of the council members during a council meeting, he yielded the chair to the vice chair so that he could speak from the floor. Okay, so those are embedded in the Honolulu City Council rules. But, you know, and the city council has a parliamentarian. Not every club has a parliamentarian. You shouldn't have a parliamentarian. You shouldn't be delving into the minutia of Robert's Rules of Order. If you do, you're wasting time. And that is not a good thing when you only have an hour for the meeting. Any other questions?
Danielle had a question about if it's only for board meetings to use Robert's rules, or can you do it for assemblies and other meetings?
You can use it for and you should. Okay, that way, because in a board meeting, there's a record that has to be kept. What decisions were made by the board? Okay, because at some point in time, you know, 2 years down the road, you know, you're going to sit in a board meeting and they're going to go, who the heck approve this thing? You know, you flip through the minutes and, oh, it was so-and-so, you know, or whatever. But
Yeah.
what was the rationale for doing this thing? And it should be reflected in the minutes. And sometimes it's really good to revisit because the reason for doing something may no longer exist. And you may want to discontinue or modify a program, but keeping a record, and if you're going to keep a record, you should have that process in place. Make a motion, second the motion. If you have 5 people in the room, you know, it still helps.
Okay, that
so-
wasn't quite my question.
Go ahead.
Okay, go for it.
My question was, yeah, we should have it. We should use it at board meetings. We should use it at club assemblies whenever we're making decisions about the club. But our weekly meetings don't really follow the same kind of, I mean, we have agendas, we have schedules, but we don't necessarily make motions and stuff to speak. So
No, so
are
what
we
you do-
following Robert's rules at our regular meetings, our weekly
Yes.
meetings,
Yes,
not the
you
club
are.
assembly?
If you don't make a decision, you don't need a motion, but the process is there. In the event you need to. So when the chair calls the meeting to order, I hope you approve minutes, but you say the Pledge of Allegiance, you introduce your guests or whatever. You have committee reports.
No,
And if a committee report requires an action, you make a motion. If not, hey, it's an orderly process. Okay, so the agenda is critical and you must follow the agenda, time limits. Those all part of Robert's Rules of Order. It's all part of Rotary. Okay, so
so
you're
we
not
should be
gonna,
taking, hang on, so we should be taking, our secretary should be taking minutes at club meetings also?
sure.
So our weekly meeting, our secretary should be taking minutes
Eh.
and submitting minutes.
Yeah,
Okay, so
and it'll
approval.
be very brief.
No, Dean. So for
Wow.
meetings where you have a speaker.
Wow.
Yeah, when you have
Yeah.
a speaker and it's a meeting where you have maybe outside people, you might not want to do any motions or have a need for Robert's rules. So at a
Thank
regular,
you, Naomi. That was my question.
okay,
Yeah,
That was my
no,
question.
Robert's Rules, its primary purpose is to conduct business. So if you have no business to conduct, I mean, motions, actions to be taken, yeah, then you don't employ it. But the principles of respecting one another and so on and so forth in Robert's Rules still apply. So if you don't make a motion, you don't have to follow that process. Okay, so yeah, and keep it, in my opinion, is keep it loose, keep it casual. Even in a board meeting, you don't have to sit up there really formal and do this, but when a motion comes up, follow Robert's Rules. Okay, if somebody's going to make a motion, follow Robert's Rules, but keep notes, because if a club member wants to know what happened in a board meeting, okay, a club member should have the right to review the minutes of the board meeting.
Okay, thanks, Dean.
See, I went too far now. Okay. Have a good day,
Yeah.
you all.
Thanks,
I'll see
Steve.
you soon. Okay,
Really
bye-bye.
appreciate it. Yeah.
That's her husband, right?
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, how many people take minutes for regular club meetings, when you have a speaker? Yeah, okay. That's up to you, but that's up to the club, but you don't have to. Okay, Benson, what are we doing next?
Okay, yeah, just one more thought about that. Okay, is that typically the person that's running the board is also the person that's running the club, right? So the board, I guess the head of the board also ends up being the club president. And I would say probably in 99% of the clubs in our district, the person that runs the board meeting is the club president. But now what we're seeing is that because it's a lot to do both functions, we're seeing that now some clubs have a board chair who's a different person than the president, so that the president now can participate in the meetings, kind of like what Dean was referring to, without having the responsibility of being the board chair. Now, just show of hands, does any club here represented today have a separate person other than the club president as the board chair? Nobody. Okay. So we're just sort of seeing that as something that helps clubs spread out the work, like what Naomi was saying earlier about trying to spread the workload out. And you might want to look at that in the coming year about basically getting your board together and electing a chair, and that person being a different person than the club president, so that you can sort of spread that out. Okay, so now we're gonna do a little breakout group based on club size, right? So I'm gonna put up the breakout group, there's 3 of them, and it's based on club size. And what we're gonna talk about in this group is what are some of the challenges that you're having on your particular board, or if you are just coming into serving in the board, what are some of the things that you're either hoping to accomplish, or some of your perspectives, like as you're entering this. And so what I would like is for us, like I said, there's going to be 3 groups. Small club, which is basically 17 members or less. Medium club is going to be 18 to 29, and then large club is going to be 30 people and over. And so you're going to get to a chance to pick whatever small group or breakout group you want to go into. And you want to basically, like I said, talk one more time about challenges that you see on the board, how you can make it more efficient. If you want to have a continuing conversation about Robert's Rules of Order, and then we'll reconvene in about 10 or 12 minutes, and then choose somebody within your club to be basically the recorder, or that's going to be kind of the responder to the group when we come back. All right, is that clear? Everybody kind of understands what's happening? Okay, so I'm going to put the breakout groups up, and you should see it up on your screen now. If you don't see it on the screen, then you can just stay in the room, and then I will put you into the club that you should be in. Okay, so we'll see you guys back in about 10 or 12 minutes.
Benson, Danielle, can you throw me in the medium clubs, please?
I can throw you in the
Thank
meeting.
you.
I'm going to do that right now.
Thank you.
Anybody would like to be thrown into a room?
Aloha, this is Sandy Schneider. I'll go into the small room.
Small room. Okay, Sandy, that's easy.
Thank you.
Small is probably kind of small right now.
This is
Anybody-
Lee. I go in the
Okay.
larger.
Lee. Okay, Lee.
Yeah, we have over 100 members.
Oh, wow. Yep, you should be in the large club. Okay.
Benson,
Yes.
can I go? This is Tracy. Can I go into a small room?
All right, small room. I put you in the small room. All right. Who else? Who else would like to go? I mean, I could put you in there gently, or I could just throw you in there.
Put me in
So-
large.
Whatever works for you. And the rest of us, we could just stay in the room and talk about the people that are in the rooms right now. Okay, anybody? Clarence, where would you like to go? Oh, you're gonna hang out over here, talk with us. Okay, cool. All right, that's okay.
Benson, put me in large, please.
Who was that? Who just said that?
Jerry with Sunrise.
Sunrise.
Okay, all right, Jerry, here you go.
Timo should go to the small room. Thanks,
Emo,
man.
I'm
Yeah.
putting you in the small room,
Aloha.
but you're a big guy that's gonna fit in a small room. That's great. Okay. Huh, right.
Benson, Connie
Yeah.
O'Hay, that's medium?
yep, I can put you in medium, but
She's at the top, she's at the top.
yeah, I see. Okay, medium. All right,
Thank you.
any other person would like to go to a room? Let's see. Dennis, Eva, you want to go somewhere?
Any place is okay. Thank you, Benson.
Okay, how big's your club, Eva? Do you know?
52.
Okay, I'll put you in large club.
Thank you.
Okay, Annie, how about you? Would you like to go somewhere? Oh, Annie went to get coffee. Well, that's somewhere.
She's medium.
Oh, she's medium. Okay, Annie's medium. Medium. David, would you like to go somewhere? Are you in a group somewhere?
Alum one is large.
Okay, but I don't see David on the thing here. Oh, I see. He probably joined after I set him up. So let's see. How do we get David somewhere?
Um, pretty even, yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty even. Let's see. Pretty even, yeah. You see him.
Yeah. Oh, just pause the recording.
Okay, yeah, let me do that. Okay. Well, thanks, folks, and thanks for your questions. So, so let's start with the small club people. And so who's gonna report from them? You know, what's kind of cool is that when we split the groups up, it was almost pretty much even. So who is gonna be the spokesman for our small club people? Okay, Rob, are you smiling? Yeah, you're smiling, so I guess it's you.
It's
So-
because that's kind of how our meeting started. Nobody
Yeah,
said.
yeah, okay. All right, go for it, man.
Well, I think, you know, as would be obvious with the small club, it's just finding the people to be on the board. And, you know, there's really only a few positions that people are interested in. And then Rotary International has a lot more that they want people to represent. And so you just put names into those and they don't really do anything as far as those committees go. So. And then, yeah, trying to avoid burnout, you know, with the people on the board and the club itself. I think we're supposed to discuss board challenges mostly.
Okay, anybody want to add anything on to that? Emo, you're probably in that room, right?
Well, that's our board member, Robert did a good job, but I think, yeah, avoiding burnout, trying to find the right fit for leadership of a committee, you know, keeping everyone on the same page, keeping everyone motivated, and how to avoid burnout. I think that was kind of our focus.
Yeah. So, so the other members that were in that group, you guys want to add anything? Who else was in your group over here? I can actually bring them up and it'll be really fun.
Terry and Sandy.
Okay, Terry and Sandy. So, so you know, in the small groups, part of what we see, the small clubs, right, is that everybody's on everything, right? It's that you're on every committee and every, you know, you're the board and you could be the president. You could be like 9 different things at once. So, so what's your thought about that, Terry?
Well, I mean, I've been on small boards before, I mean, small organizations, but boards before. So that basically is what it is. So a lot of people don't always want to serve on the boards, and I think somebody's got to do it. And I want to make sure that it goes and the organization succeeds. So I'm most always on a board right away. And that's fine with me. It is important to know what your limits are. I travel a lot. I told them that. And I mean, I have a lot of energy. So when I'm there, I work on my community services chair, but I also have help. I've always asked for help. And I think this year we're going to make it more formal, that I will have co-chairs, probably have 2 co-chairs, and that will, we always have coordinated handoffs and responsibilities, but just kind of codify that a little bit more. And just also too, we have a few members who have been in Rotary a long time and in our organization. And sometimes they say, well, I've done my part. And I go, well, you still need to be on a committee to help, because we can't just have just a very, very small amount of people doing it all. So try and just kind of get people to, you know, contribute, even though they might be a little tired.
Okay, yeah, that's great input. Miley, I know you're in a small club. So, and I know you guys are trying to, you know, keep your club moving, trying to get some things done. What's your thought about it?
I second everything anyone else in the group said. One of the other things that we did bring up on behalf of Tracy was just even talking about the clarity around some of the roles for some of us that are relatively new Rotarians. And one of the positions in general that, you know, the North Hawaii Club mentioned, having sort of a third party that supports the treasurer responsibilities. And so some of the things that we just discussed were, you know, whether or not things have just kind of always been done that way, or is it truly the way Rotary should be doing it? And, you know, are we sticking to or creating good habits? And, you know, what does good look like from a fundraising point of view, and a treasurer report and secretary minutes? Just what does good look like? And whether that is relative to the size of the club versus the longevity of the club is just kind of where we were going until the breakout session ended.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sandy, what's your thought? You were in that group.
Oh, and then I disappear.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
My goodness, I think that the group has summarized everything that we talked about in that moment. And for me, the takeaway is engagement. How do we encourage engagement of our current club members, which is a small number, helping them to understand that it's all, we all participate in all of these activities. So someone needs to step up as lead, but that doesn't mean that you're running the whole show. You've got a team of people behind you ready to support.
Yeah, that's really great. You know, some clubs, small clubs, they have a little group out there called Friends of Rotary. It's basically their friends and their family. You know, they may not want to be joining members, but they're going to help if you have a community, a project, an event, you know, some type of service project. They'll come out there and help. And yeah, I know for me, I mean, I have a big family, so you know, I don't care if they're in Rotary or not. I mean, if we're going to do something, you're automatically included in that. So that's just kind of one way of just making a larger group of people to help. Tracy, I know you do a lot for your club, because every time I turn around and I show up, you're there. So let me get your thought, and then we can move on to the medium guys. Go ahead, Tracy.
Well, I ditto everything that everybody said, and my takeaway was learning about also getting somebody else to help with an accountant to help with the treasurer. I will be taking the role of as a treasurer on this coming year, and I was just trying to get some information on what the role is. If there's a treasury report every meeting, because I don't see any treasurer's report or secretary's report. And is that what we need to be doing? Just knowledge. I'm just trying to get things to stick when, you know, a lot of things coming in.
Yeah, that's super important. And you know, Dean's point about taking minutes is super important, because you got to have a written record of stuff that you've accomplished, that you get a starting point next time. That's
exactly. Great. I know James, what he does is he's our secretary, and he tapes it, but you would have to go back and review it. It doesn't come like there's a minutes for last meeting. So yeah. Should that be what should be we see before the meeting, the minutes of as a secretary giving out the minutes. But we do have an agenda. Cindy is really on tap with sending out an agenda and sticking to her agenda. Thank you. Everything is always good information to learn.
Thanks, Tracy. So Medium Club, who's gonna speak for you guys? And it's gonna be Karen. Great, Karen, we love that. Go for it.
I have to unmute myself in order for you to hear me. There was quite a large group in the Medium Club breakout. I was happy to see that. Yeah. And the composition or the competition for joining Rotary has been a challenge for that size group. And in our vacation destination area, it's particularly been a project because a lot of our members are there for 3 or 4 months and then leave. And personally, I think Zoom has been a big boon to help with that, because they can still attend meetings even if they're out of the area. Suggestions that we came up with to address this issue included, first of all, asking people what it was that would motivate them to join Rotary as opposed to some competition group or any group. or just to join, period. And then adding environmental projects to our goals seemed like it might be a big motivation for a lot of younger people. This was suggested that seemed to be an area of interest as opposed to some other things that people thought of in the adding to the area. We decided that having members address a prospective member who is one generation younger than we are might be one way to grow our membership and address the problem of competition, because that would increase the diversity in the demographics of our clubs. And finally, we decided that social media seems to be a big draw for a lot of people and a really good way to present what Rotary is actually doing in the community to a larger audience that might generate additional members and present us as a point of competition for, you know, groups that might be out there that they could join.
All right. Anybody else want to add anything that was in that group? You had a pretty big group in there. Lita and Annie and Clarence, Dennis, some really experienced folks. Jay, you want to add something to that? Go ahead.
Yeah, which I'm sure it's with most clubs, but getting members to step up into leadership roles. You know, we discussed that a lot of our members are Rotary members that have been there for a long time. So a lot of past presidents and all. And, you know, they said, well, I think they're mentally thinking, well, I served as president, that's it, now I could just sit back. And really, they should be thinking ahead. Well, I've been president, so I have this experience, now let's do more. And I was mentioning that the way you restructured your club with committees and all, I'm trying to do something similar to our club to try and get the older members involved. And I'm one of the older members.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, it's about, you know, we've talked about engagement, engaging other people and becoming more involved, and that's a pretty big thing. So let's skip up to, let's go up to a large club. So who's speaking out? David, Don, Eva, Jerry, Lee, Sean, and Steve. Who's speaking up for you guys? All right, how about should I just pick somebody? Okay, David, how about you speak for the group? Or actually, how about Dawn? Dawn, I've been watching you pay attention to this thing, and of course you're in the same club as Steve, so which means you have to pay attention because you got Steve in your club. So go ahead.
Our group was kind of discussing some of the challenges that come up at meetings and how to kind of tackle those challenges. I guess kind of around Robert's Rules of Orders and whatnot, but that was kind of the basic conversation.
Okay. All right, good. Because, you know, I mean, obviously, bigger the club, more challenges to manage out there. So Jerry, you're in that big group. You want to make a comment on it? Let's see, where's Jerry? Jerry might.
Yeah, we focused a lot on the use of Robert's rules and action items during our regular weekly meetings. So we were focused much more on process than on issues, it seemed. So I don't know that we actually accomplished anything except to understand that we all have similar viewpoints, and our I think we were all pretty much the same ilk, that we'd like to keep our business and our speaker meetings separate to a large extent.
Yeah.
That was just my impression of what we discussed.
Okay, great one. Okay, look, I got about 5 minutes left. I'm just gonna talk for a couple of minutes about the development of leadership, because everybody, no matter what group size. Oh, okay. Clarence, I see your hand's getting raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up one thing that kind of came up in our meeting, the small group, was another purpose of Robert's rules is protect us from liability. So when we have a process in place, it's important that we can go back, that we follow the process if something catastrophic, something happens where you might be liable. So yeah, if a decision is made by the board, but a member chooses not to follow it, it could be, they need to be talked to about that for liability sense. That's all.
Okay, Clarence, thanks. And that's a really big, important responsibility, as Naomi kind of went over. But a couple things real quick, and then I'm going to hand it back to Naomi, then Mark's going to wrap it up. About the development of leadership. Okay, first thing is that you have to observe and watch your club, right? So there's a saying that says all creativity comes from being observant, right? So you have to sort of look at the landscape, observe the people that are in your club, and you're going to be able to see right away, like somebody saw in you, that you've got some leadership capabilities, and it might be a number of things, right? Your ability to organize, your ability to verbalize, your ability to get other people to help you. So there's lots of things that are involved in the development of leadership. But your first thing is to really take a look at the people that are in your club. The second thing, and I said this a lot, is that you have to be a good asker. You have to be a person that's not afraid to ask people to help and to participate. Now, in that asking, and I want to take this up to another level, you have to give the person you're asking a statement of value, that you value them, that you see leadership ability in them, that you see potential in them. You can't, I mean, it's sort of easy to say, hey, you want to be head of this project, but it's a lot better to say, hey, I've been watching you participate at our club meetings, and I really think that you have the ability to be a great leader in this club. And so why don't we start with, you could help put together the next service project. So one of the things that you have to understand, and just, what people's needs are, that need to be recognized and that need to be valued. When we talk about how do we retain members into our club and keep our membership intact, it's really about helping them to like and enjoy that club experience. And they do that by having a sense of value and a sense that their efforts are going to be recognized. That's one thing. And then whatever it is that you say that you're going to do is to respond to the feedback that you're getting from your members. If your members say, hey, we prefer doing this, or we like doing this, or we'd like to have more socials, then as a leader and in the leadership development, that you're able to respond to those things. So if your club members say, hey, we'd like to have more social events and more service projects, then that gives you the ability to reach out to somebody and say, hey, our club members are saying they want more social social events. And I can see that you're a person that really enjoys putting this together. Can you help us here? And people will step up if they're asked to, and they're given this sense of value and recognition. So that might help you in the development of your leadership and expanding people on your board. So I'm going to turn it over to Naomi for some last comments, and then Mark will close this up. Go ahead, Naomi.
Oh, it's 10:30 already. Shucks. Want to thank everybody here. You guys are so important to the success of the club, and really good ideas and real good comments on what people are doing. And Lee putting the heart side, yes, that's what we feel too. We love all of you guys, folks. Sorry, we're not supposed to say guys, right? And we wanted to do a real quick open mic where if you could do a 20-second plug on a fundraiser that you're doing, a project. You got open mic right now, real quick. Anybody? No?
we're gonna do a fundraiser for scholarships and RILA, and which is called a paint and sip.
Oh, I like the ones where you drink. Yeah, that's gonna be really effective.
Anybody else?
I
I'm
know-
trying to put together, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Annie, go ahead.
I'm at Lahaina Sunrise, and I'm trying to put together a Join One Love program. It's a program for teens in the high school that help them have healthy relationships and be aware of the red flags, healthy behaviors and unhealthy behaviors in relationships. So if anybody wants to check out the website for it, it's joinonelove.org. And great for anybody who's got young people growing up who are dating and so on. It was founded based on a young gal who went off to college, came home at Christmas with a boyfriend, and everybody kind of went, ooh, there's some behavior there that seems really weird. Nobody did anything about it. And she was murdered about 2 weeks before she graduated.
Ouch.
So the family got together and created a foundation that would help educate young people. And they have a whole bunch of videos and different programs, and they're all free. And you can go through to the Learning Center and become a trainer yourself, just to educate yourself on those things. So it's a really great resource that's of no charge.
Thank you. Sean, real quick.
Metro and Sunset are going to have a joint fundraiser June 14th. We're going to be at Diamond Head Theater. We're selling tickets for the show. It's Bodyguard. And then for some of the Metro members, there's also an opportunity for a dinner ahead of time.
Oh, cool.
So it's June 14th.
Danielle?
Ala Moana Rotary is doing Smart Start, where we'll be creating backpacks filled with school supplies for the first day of school for our students, our needy students at Lunalilo Elementary School. If anybody wants to donate some school supplies, we are open to it. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, send me the information so I can put it in the newsletter. Okay, back to you, Mark.
All right, thank you so much for your time. You know, as we call ourselves a leadership development organization, serving on a board as a volunteer board member is a great way to allow people to develop their own personal leadership skills. And we need, as leaders, to bring new people onto the board. And, you know, it's okay if they mess up once in a while, and if they need to be reminded about Robert's Rules of Orders. But that helps our members develop their own leadership skills. And so thank you for stepping up to serve on the board and increase and improve your own leadership skills, because I really believe that's one of the things that Rotary is all about. So thanks for your time today, folks. Have a great Saturday and Sunday, and we will Zoom with you soon.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you,
Benson, I have a
everybody.
question.
Aloha. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Benson, oh, okay.
yes, I got it.
When will this be, when will this recording be available?
As soon as I stop it, let me see. Okay, go ahead, yeah.